Dear audience, I'm extremely happy to have with me Philip Gerlein from SKF. Philip, we know each other, but I'm sure not everyone knows you exactly. Please introduce yourself. What are you doing within SKF? And maybe if you're interested in also a little bit of your private life.
Sure. First of all, thanks, Marcus, for having me, and beautiful setting here in Dortmund. I think tremendous pleasure to be here. As you said, I'm heading SKF's Automotive Aftermarket business unit globally. Meanwhile, I'm 11 years in the company and have been seeing different industry verticals. But by heart, I think I've always been connected to the automotive and the racing segment, and therefore I think it was a great joy to have the chance and the privilege to lead that organization. Mm-hmm. I'm based out of Germany. We have our operations and headquarters for the automotive aftermarket in Schweinfurt. Mm-hmm. And privately, I'm a sportive guy. So yes, I think we can take the automotive part also to the private life.
So I wasn't aware that you're also interested in racing. So it's more dedicated to Formula One, or what is it, DTM, or what is it?
Yes, no, more Formula One, if you take it to that side. And then, of course, I was more referring to our racing efforts. We support, I would say, mainly Formula One, but also Formula E. Mm-hmm. And then classic racing. I think that's really, if you ask me personally, That's what I'm attached to.
I think we have another topic later on to discuss. So it's very interesting. So I'm also, let me say, a petrol head. I like these kind of, especially the classic cars also. I just renewed the Audi 80 convertible for 2 years now. Yeah. And is now ready. And it's a 2.8 V6. Beautiful. Yeah. Okay. But for sure, we are not here to talk about the sport, even I would like to do so. We would like to know your opinion and your future thoughts about the business, and especially within SKF. What does the independent aftermarket mean for a largely industrial-orientated company like SKF?
Yeah, I think first of all, as you said, right, we are largely industrial-oriented. Mm-hmm. That's 70% of our business. So how does automotive come to play in this strange setup? But then I think if you go back in history, it's one of the most or the oldest segments that SKF has, right? And as we are mainly working with products around the rotating shaft, it is bearings, seals, lubrication. I think that is something that has ever since, when something moved, right, you see that. So aftermarket for us, I think, is a core segment, maintaining fleets out there. Yeah. And I think then with a long heritage of wheel-end products out there, mm-hmm. there's also a natural demand, right? And I think that is how it came up. And meanwhile, it's 10% of our group's business.
Already 10%?
Yes.
I wasn't aware of that. I expected a little bit lower percentage. Yeah. But it's a quite important business, therefore.
Yes, right.
Okay. So if you compare the OE to the aftermarket pedigree, can you rate it also in percentage?
Sure. And I think, of course, also accessible in our annual reports, but we have around 30% aftermarket business and then 70% OE business. Okay. And like you say, right, it is very important that you are remaining relevant on the OE platforms. Yeah. I think that's the entry point, and then, of course, lays the foundation for the business that we enjoy in the aftermarket.
I think it's a remarkable share, 30% compared to 70%. Not every industry company can show these kind of values towards our partners in the independent aftermarket. Right. One of the main challenges and question marks for the independent aftermarket will be who is maintaining the spare parts range production. And how can the major brands ensure that we put the right focus there?
Yeah, I think this is, of course, a key point in the garage, in the distribution segment, right? Who is bringing the spares when we have, especially, it might not be only a classic spare part, but also, I mean, let's say, in the bit older segments. And of course, we have to hold up to our OEM commitments and 15 years of original equipment, spare part supplies, and so on. But what do you do with this, right? And I think one of the key things that we try to, I would say, focus on is how can you enable a modular and flexible setup that also maintains for the aftermarket. And I would say modularization, especially when we talk now wheel bearing production, I think that was one of the key things, right? That you have some dedicated manufacturing channels for aftermarket, highly flexible. Of course, they will never live up to the efficiency you need for an OEM business.
That's right. Yeah.
But I think that is what we can do for, let's say, what we produce in-house. And I think we have a long and beautiful sunset of the internal combustion engine business. We need to also, depending on the geography, find a way how we can maintain, right, the vehicles that are out there. And this is a joint work.
That's also a quite interesting topic if we talk about combustion engine. Okay, if we talk about the political decision makers, latest 35, there should be an end. Today, I have my doubts if it's really the good decision or is I not really just taken from the current politicians. From my personal point of view, maybe you can share this or discuss this. I don't think that is the right way to do so. I think we have to create a fair mix. There should be e-mobility for sure, but we should not take away the hydrogen, the e-fuels, or even some new developments that would or can come up.
Right.
And at least we are talking about the billions of cars running around this world. And just to say, okay, in Europe it's forbidden to create a combustion engine. What you're going to do with all the other billions of cars? They should run with oil in the future also, and there are the possibilities like e-fuels, like hydrogen, and I think we should really push this kind of idea towards our politicians to make them clear that that is not a fair and correct way just to concentrate on e-mobility. Well, what do you think?
No, I couldn't agree more, right? We need an openness to the different technologies that are out there, and all sort of alternatively fueled vehicles are important, as well as, I mean, looking into the car park that is out there. And I think just this year, we will probably cross more than 1.5 billion vehicles in operation globally. So it is a tremendous car park. And there is a very interesting study. Maybe we can put that in the show notes even.
Yeah.
I think it's 1.5 years old. Meanwhile, in Japan, a team of researchers and scientists came together to analyze what is really the end-to-end emission balance, right?
Okay.
If we have now a fully aggressive transformation scenario to electrified vehicles, or if we rather focus on maintaining the vehicles that are out there, right? And what is super interesting, it is a long, I would say, pathway until you really cross that balance, right? Because the initial emissions of producing a car, especially an EV, are really, really high. So I think we need to also shape and underscore the efforts of reusing the cars that are out there. And I think there we play a vital role, right? With our spare parts and service offerings.
Yeah, I think it's currently I would not like to use the word fake news, but we have to face the reality. If we take the power production that we need for electricity done by carbon, and really compare that with these combustion engines, especially the new ones like a diesel engine and so on, as you have already said, there's a long way if there's really the equality of the CO2 emission. Okay, we agree. We can say it like this. We have really to work, each one of us, towards the politicians that they have to rethink this kind of weird decision-making process. Okay, but we are sitting here, at least thanks to our workshops. Without the workshops, we would not sit here. We would not have a business.
Agreed.
Especially our independent workshops. And workshop enablement is one of the key topics for the independent aftermarket. What are, in your opinion, the most effective value adds for the garage and also the end user?
Yeah. I think first and foremost, it is a hygiene factor, right? You need to be able to work with your end user base and connect there somehow.
Yeah.
And of course, it's maybe not our product segment at first, but I think the most effective way, right, where you can add value to a workshop is that in the tooling side, whether that is, I would say, how to call it, a diagnostic tool set or service that is out there, or even just a typical hand tool, right? But I think these are the things that really enable a workshop. So not having that in your product range, like we do it, with a wear and tear part that is maybe not so visible as well in a car, how do you add value? And I think here it comes into play that we help capability building. That can be repair and mounting instructions, that can be through physical or digital trainings, right? But that is, I think, one of the key areas to focus on when you are outside this tool area, right? Then it must be through a capability building. And then, of course, also sharing best practices that are relevant for the respective categories. And I think it's an ownership that all of us players in the independent aftermarket have, right? Together with the workshops and the distribution houses to build the proper knowledge and then get data and information accessible and workable.
Thank you for this very interesting answer. And I remember, or I've learned that you have taken a remarkable partnership just a few weeks ago with the hand tool manufacturer HZ.
Right.
Could you tell our audience a little bit more about this idea? What is behind? What do you expect out of this partnership? We all know HZ is maybe the most important and interesting manufacturer of tools from Germany. So please let us know what is your target behind.
Yeah. I mean, it's of course under the headline of partnership is the new leadership, right? We believe together we can be more effective, and that comes through different ways. So one thing is, of course, that you need this premium high-end tool range, right? Which is something that I think a mechanic in the workshop always identifies with. That's bread and butter for them.
Absolutely.
With then the premium spares, right? In the different applications that we offer. And I think there we saw a natural fit that first of all, we get closer to the workshop, learn more, and we can take that back to our spare part. We are in tier business, right? To focus on, I would say, complementing this. And then you get the needs. And I think that is where HZ comes to play, knowing this really well, being so present, and then you get an immediate feedback. So I think that's one of the strategic fits that we see here. But then also when it comes to training and enablement, right, you have I would say, double power in doing so.
Very interesting. I think it's a smart step, and also the combination of your brand and the HZ brand. It fits very well, and it sounds good. At least. So congratulations for that.
Thank you.
But also coming back to the workshops, does the SKF offers trainings? Let me say webinar trainings, or really trainings in your house or in the workshop? Or what is your way to handle this kind of acknowledge transfer?
Right. So I think, of course, it is depending a bit per region, right, that the efforts we take, but it is a combination of both, that we have, of course, physical trainings out there. In the EMEA regions, we are allowed to represent with road trucks where we try to show the products and really be out there. But then, of course, also looking into the web pages, right? Our tech center, where we try to offer services for that. And then it's also interesting when you really come to the different regions, right? North America, where you have a real commercial vehicle fleet business, where I think it is the most important thing to be out at the workshop directly, work with the service centers. And I think this combination we try to manage in a good way, to also have it tailored for the needs that are specific for a region. Because let's take a truck shop in the United States. They will not have the need as an independent garage that is focused on light vehicles here. They don't care about tech RMI or integrations to information platforms, right? They want to know, how can I fit this bearing on this axle?
Exactly. Cool. Okay, good. And what does sustainability mean for SKF in the independent automotive aftermarket? Everybody is talking about sustainability, but what is exactly that? What SKF is really taking out of this word?
I think, first of all, I mean, it's a topic close to my heart and our leadership, right? We have committed to be net zero in our operations by 2030 and in the whole supply chain by 2050. And for a largely steel-dependent manufacturer, this is a big commitment.
Yeah.
And then coming back to our technology discussion in the beginning, it is a joint work, right? And I think in the aftermarket, for me, this means reducing overall life cycle emissions. I think that is the aim that we have, right? You can smoothen rotation, you can help at least that things go the right way. And I mean, in the aftermarket, we really tap into that. We try to reuse, we try to repair what is out there and maintain these vehicles up at the best condition. And of course, over time, then, we can talk into this transition of alternative fueled vehicles. But for the aftermarket, repair and reuse, that's, I think, the common theme of thinking that we share.
Yeah, it's important to go and to follow this way. I think within the last years, we have too often just thrown away these kind of products. And we have to come back to repair issues. And if you follow this way, I would also here like to say congratulations for this right decision-making process. Okay.
Yeah.
How is the future of smart products impacting a largely mechanical wear and tear part manufacturer like SKF? I think that is a quite interesting question. Yeah.
Yes, and it's maybe a little bit a tough one, right?
Yeah.
Because our heritage comes from a very agnostic product that is a mechanical product, like you said. And it comes down to the understanding that we have, where can we play a role, right? Telematics and smartification of products is not just a trend, it's reality. And then, of course, we have tried different things on the diagnostic side, on telematics side, but I think what is very important to also understand, what is your contribution in this? And I think here we came to the conclusion, we will stay a partner, right, to the tier one supplier that is offering this. And then we rather focus on how can we smartify where we have I would say, competitive knowledge advantage, and that's the wheel end side. So I think that's the only area where we can really do something. Wheel end monitoring, giving you load sensing and thermal conditions, and then plug that into a telematic operating system that is on a truck, eventually even in a car, but I mean mainly relevant for the truck segment, right? So I think we kind of reflected back and also took a step back, saying we can be a partner, but we will not go on our own.
Okay, I see. Thank you.
Yeah.
But you have already taken the word truck. The truck and heavy duty market is one of the key elements of today's transportation segments.
Yes.
What will be the future of this market for SKF?
Now, I think going back to the statement that it says the overall life cycle emissions, right? Yeah. What we think of sustainability, then we know that transportation is one of the biggest segments in terms of CO2 emissions.
Exactly.
So different technology solutions, unitized design, single bearing wheel end businesses. So I think we just try again to come back to this DNA of maintaining the fleets that are out there, and then dependent on the regions. This is of course different technologies, and therefore high effort for us. Right? How can we ensure that the wheel end is in a proper place? That means the proper sealing is there, the proper bearing is there,
right.
And it has also a very relevant safety aspect. So I think that is a bit our understanding for that, and then complement, I would say, the OS, the operating systems and telematics side with some smart subcomponents and services that we can offer.
Okay. Yeah, quite interesting. I think it's really underestimated, especially the security topic, if we talk about the wheel bearings, especially for trucks.
Yes.
And I think we are obliged to transfer this kind of information much more into the market. Especially you can see some real serious accidents which are really linked to these kind of troubles because the wheel bearing has failed due to the false quality and so on. Yeah, that's quite important, interesting topic.
And especially on the regions, right? I mean, parts of Latin America and North America also are still running on oil lubricated systems. You have thermal events, you have really fires.
Yeah.
And I mean, then this safety aspect is becoming even more critical, right? So then predictive maintenance and the proper sensorization around that is very important, right? Because you can predict, oh, something is coming up.
Yeah.
Heat conditions or noise conditions are not in the right parameter corridor.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Interesting. Maybe I can raise one question more, and especially, I think all of our markets, even aftermarket, all stakeholders are facing the trouble that we have a lack of talents. So, as you know, we have, and you are also part of a Talents for AA project running. It's becoming more and more important. More and more companies are joining this project and this philosophy. What especially SKF is doing to convince, let me say, younger people from students or even mechanics, really to take the chance. I would like to really to say it like this: to take the chance to join the independent aftermarket. From my point of view, it's more than worth to think about a future business for younger people in the independent aftermarket.
Right, and it is obviously a challenge, right, on the workshop side. It is also a challenge for us as manufacturers and I would say suppliers of this segment, right? We also struggle in finding the right talent and offering maybe the employee experience that the younger generations and maybe also someone that is joining from another industry are looking for. So it starts with the mindset, right? I think the industry as such, the IAM, it's a large family. It's so welcoming. And I think also for myself, going in here 3.5 years ago into this industry segment, being more on the OE and other industries before, it was so easy to get into, right? Natural. But then, of course, we still need a change, right? In the diversity, and also, I think, in the demographics of this. And like the distribution business, I believe it's a joint work, right? We need to be able to showcase that this industry is open and welcoming, first to different profiles, to different backgrounds, and then also flexible enough to find a work environment that is up to date and interesting enough.
Yep.
And I think this is where we together need to work on, right? On the workshop side. And then also, I think what we are doing in terms of technical upskilling as an industry, this is a joint work, right? If somebody sees, hey, this is exciting, whatever brand, it could be Bosch, Mann-Hammel, ZF, or SKF, right? But I think when they see, hey, they are doing something that is interesting to me, I could think of this combination with a workshop and industry partner. I think that's the mindset we need to shape. And then maybe also change a bit leadership overall. Why not, huh? I think...
You're right.
We can be very humble in saying that this industry needs to move.
Yeah.
And we still want to enjoy this industry with our succeeding generations. Huh?
Exactly. Within the next 20, 30, 40 years. Yeah, exactly. And the audience, I think Philip is one of the best examples that you can also reach in a younger age, a high position, a managing position. So, and our market is free and open to welcome also younger people to join our market. And I have to say personally, it was an extremely exciting interview with you. I really enjoyed it. A lot of very important information you have transferred to our audience. I'm pretty sure that the people out there have really liked that, what you have given us information. And I'm sure that we are going to see us back within short term. Thank you so much to have you here. And see you next time. Thank you, Philip.
Thank you, Marcus.